Some people say the cruelest wounds come from strangers. But they're wrong. The deepest cuts come from the people who are supposed to love you unconditionally. And the night my father looked me straight in the eye and told me he wished I'd never been born, I learned that some betrayals run so deep, they rewrite your entire existence. My name is Riley Barnes, I'm 27 years old, and what happened in my childhood living room didn't just break my heart. It set me free in the most devastating way possible. Growing up in the suburbs of Richmond, Virginia, I was what everyone called the golden child. My father, Robert, was a meticulous accountant who expected perfection in everything. Same navy ties, organized desk drawers, and that underlying current of expectation that I could never quite satisfy. My mother, Catherine, was gentle and nurturing, always trying to bridge the gap between Robert's impossible standards and my desperate need for approval. Every achievement felt like climbing a mountain, only to discover there was another peak waiting. Valedictorian with a full scholarship? College will be the real test. Dean's List every semester? That's what we expect. Landing a prestigious marketing job? Don't let it go to your head. But I kept climbing, kept pushing, kept believing that somewhere at the top of that mountain was the moment my father would finally look at me with genuine pride instead of calculated assessment. At 27, I had everything anyone would consider success. My own apartment in the trendy Carytown district, a reliable car I'd paid off early, a growing savings account, and a boyfriend named Marcus who actually celebrated my victories instead of finding fault with them. I was a marketing coordinator at Sullivan & Associates, handling major campaigns and consistently exceeding targets. Then came the breakthrough. The Riverside Industries campaign I'd been leading for months finally paid off. 30% increase in brand recognition. My boss, Patricia, called me into her office on a Tuesday morning with news that would change everything. Promotion to senior marketing coordinator, $15,000 raise, my own team to manage. This was it. This was the achievement that would finally make Robert proud. I even bought them gifts, a silk scarf for Catherine, a leather portfolio for Robert. Driving to their house, I rehearsed the announcement, my hands trembling with excitement. The evening started normally. Catherine's pot roast, family updates, the comfortable rhythm of conversations we'd had hundreds of times before. I waited until dessert to share my news, watching their faces as I announced the promotion. Catherine gasped and squeezed my hand. "Riley, that's absolutely fantastic. I'm so proud of you, sweetheart." Robert finished his pie, dabbed his mouth, and nodded. "That's good. More responsibility usually means longer hours. Don't let it go to your head." But I pushed forward, sharing all the details I'd been excited about. The salary increase, the team leadership, the office with downtown views. Robert listened with that same neutral expression he wore when reviewing tax returns. That's when I made my mistake. I offered to celebrate with them. Weekend getaway, my treat. Maybe that bed and breakfast in the Blue Ridge Mountains we'd always talked about. Robert's expression shifted. For the first time all evening, he looked at me with something approaching intensity. "You think throwing money around is going to solve everything, don't you?" The change in his tone was like ice water. Catherine looked between us uncertainly. "Robert, dear, Riley is just being generous." "Generous?" He stood up, walking to the window. "Is that what we're calling it? You make one good career move, and suddenly you're the family provider, ready to take care of your poor old parents." Confusion hit me like a physical blow. "Dad, I just wanted to share my success with you. I thought you'd be happy for me." "Happy?" He let out a bitter laugh. "Riley, do you have any idea what it's like to watch your daughter succeed while you're barely keeping your head above water?" That's when the truth started spilling out. The accounting firm had laid off half their staff 6 months ago. Catherine's medication costs more than their grocery budget. They'd been living off credit cards because Robert's reduced hours barely covered the mortgage. "Why didn't you tell me?" I asked. "I could have helped." "We don't need your charity," Robert snapped. "We managed to raise you without handouts. We don't need you swooping in with your big salary and condescending generosity." But that wasn't the devastating part. The devastating part came when Robert walked to his desk and pulled out a folder. "Your inheritance from Grandma?" My heart started racing. "What about it?" "It's gone. Every penny. We spent it on medical bills and house repairs and trying to maintain the lifestyle you expected. $43,000. My inheritance. Gone. How could you spend that money without telling me? Ask my daughter to solve my problems? Do you have any idea what it's like to be a failure as a provider? I worked 60-hour weeks for 30 years, and now I'm watching my daughter earn more than I ever did." The room fell silent except for Catherine's quiet sobbing. This wasn't how the evening was supposed to go. This wasn't how my father was supposed to react to the best news of my professional life. "Dad, I never meant to make you feel bad about my success." Robert looked at me with eyes that seemed to see right through me. When he spoke again, his voice was almost a whisper. "You want to know the truth, Riley? You really want to know what I think?" I nodded, though every instinct told me I didn't want to hear what was coming. Robert took a deep breath and looked me straight in the eye. "If I could go back, you'd never be born." The words hung in the air like smoke, visible and choking. Catherine gasped, and Robert just stood there as if saying those words had required enormous physical effort. Everything inside me went completely still. Not quiet, frozen. "Your mother was 25 when she got pregnant with you. We had been married for 3 years, and we had plans, Riley. Real plans." Catherine stood up shakily. "Robert, stop. Please stop." But Robert wasn't stopping. Years of resentment were pouring out all at once. I was supposed to get promoted to partner. We were going to travel to Europe, maybe move to Atlanta where the opportunities were better. Your mother wanted to go back to school. I sank back into my chair, legs unable to support me anymore. "You chose to have me. Your mother was so excited when she found out she was pregnant. How could I tell her that all I could think about was everything we were going to lose?" Each word felt like a physical blow. "Do you want to know what I was doing the day you were born? I was sitting in the hospital parking lot calculating how much money a baby was going to cost us. I sat there adding up numbers while your mother was in labor." "Stop," I whispered. "I tried to love you," Robert said. "I really did try. But every time you succeeded at something, all I could think about was what I could have accomplished if I'd been free to focus on my own career." 27 years. 27 years of thinking I wasn't good enough to earn his love. And it turns out I was right, but not because I wasn't good enough. Because he never wanted me to exist in the first place. So my achievements weren't something to be proud of. They were just reminders of your sacrifices. There were times when I would lie awake and imagine what our life would have been like if your mother had never gotten pregnant. The apartment we could have afforded in New York. The clients I could have pursued if I didn't have to worry about school districts and college funds. Catherine was sobbing harder now. "Robert, you're destroying everything." "I'm telling the truth. Margaret's success feels like mockery. She gets to be ambitious because she doesn't have children weighing her down. She gets to be the person I never got to be." But here's where Robert made his fatal mistake. Here's where his decades of resentment were about to cost him everything. Something extraordinary happened in that moment of complete devastation. Instead of falling apart, I felt myself becoming very, very calm. Like watching a building collapse from a safe distance, destructive and terrible, but also strangely clarifying. All the pieces of my childhood suddenly fit together. The lukewarm responses to my achievements. The way Robert always seemed distracted during school plays and graduations. The emotional distance I'd attributed to his personality was actually deliberate protective detachment from a child he'd never wanted. 27 years, I said quietly. You've resented me for 27 years. Robert didn't deny it. I provided for you. I did everything a father is supposed to do. Everything except love me. Love isn't always a feeling. Sometimes it's showing up and doing your duty. I turned to Catherine. Did you know? All these years. She nodded reluctantly. He was different after you were born. I thought it was normal adjustment to parenthood. The financial information took on new meaning. The inheritance Robert had spent. The money I'd been contributing to their household without knowing their situation. I pulled out my phone and scrolled through my banking app. Do you want to know something interesting, Dad? In the past 2 years, I've given you approximately $12,000. Birthday gifts, Christmas money, that car repair bill, the water heater. Robert's face went pale. You've been living off my generosity while resenting my existence. You've been accepting financial help from the daughter you wish had never been born. The mathematical reality was stark and undeniable. Robert had spent my inheritance, accepted my gifts, and benefited from my success while harboring nearly 3 decades of resentment. I stood up and walked over to where Robert was standing. You want to know what I think? I think you didn't get that partnership because you were mediocre at your job, not because you had a family. I think you didn't travel to Europe because you lacked courage, not because you had responsibilities. Robert's face flushed red. That's not true, isn't it? Because successful people with children manage to advance their careers all the time. The only difference between them and you is they don't use their children as excuses for their own lack of ambition. That's when I delivered the blow that would change everything. You want to go back and erase me from existence? Fine. Let's start right now. Robert blinked, not understanding. If you could go back and I'd never be born, then stop living off the daughter you wish never existed. The words came out calm and precise, like reading from a contract. Starting immediately, I'm cutting off all financial assistance to this household. No more dinners I pay for. No more gifts of money. No more covering emergency expenses. If you wish I'd never been born, then you can live as if I'd never been born. Catherine whispered. Riley, no. No, Mom. This is what he wants. If my existence has been nothing but a burden, then burdens don't pay for other people's lives. I pulled out my phone again. Let me give you some numbers, Dad. Over the past 5 years, I've contributed approximately $36,000 to your household. Your monthly expenses are about $4,000. Your current income is $3,000. That leaves a shortfall of $1,000 that you've been covering through credit cards and my inheritance. Robert was silent, processing the implications. You have 30 days to figure out how you're going to manage without any assistance from me. That includes the medical bills, credit card debt, and ongoing monthly expenses. You can't be serious, Robert finally said. I'm completely serious. You've made it clear my existence is a burden and my success is a source of resentment. Fine. Live your life as if the burden never existed. I headed toward the door, then turned back. You know what the sad part is? I came here to celebrate with you. I wanted to share my success with the people I loved most. But those sacrifices weren't made out of love. They were made out of duty and resentment. I opened the front door. If you ever decide you want a relationship based on mutual respect and genuine affection, you know my number. But until then, I'm going to live my life surrounded by people who are glad I exist. And then I walked out of the house where I'd spent my entire childhood trying to earn love from someone fundamentally incapable of giving it. The next few weeks were a strange combination of grief and liberation. I found a therapist who helped me understand the difference between healthy boundaries and emotional neglect. Children aren't responsible for their parents' unrealized dreams, Dr. Harrison told me. 3 weeks later, Catherine called. They were struggling financially. Robert had to return to full-time hours. Catherine found part-time work at the library. They were refinancing the house and consolidating debt. Good, I said. Those sound like responsible adult decisions. Riley, your father wants to apologize. Mom, I don't need an apology for him telling the truth. I need him to figure out whether he wants a relationship with me or just misses the financial benefits. For months later, Robert called directly. We met at a neutral cafe. I was wrong, he said simply. About everything. About blaming you for my choices. About resenting your success. About taking your help while wishing you didn't exist. What changed your mind? Living without you. These past months, solving our problems without your help, watching your mother cry because she missed you. Every good thing in our family was connected to your presence and generosity. He paused. I've been seeing a counselor too, learning how resentment poisons everything it touches. I want to try again if you're willing. Not as your father who expects you to prove your worth, but as a man who wants to know the remarkable woman his daughter has become. It wasn't a fairy tale reconciliation. Rebuilding trust took time. But gradually, we developed something we'd never had before. A genuine relationship between two adults who respected each other. A year later, when Marcus proposed to me in Hollywood Cemetery overlooking the James River, Robert was the first person I called. His response was immediate and genuine. Riley, I'm so happy for you. Marcus is a lucky man, and you deserve all the love in the world. My career continued flourishing. Within 18 months, I was promoted again and eventually started my own consulting firm. But the most important change was internal. I no longer needed external validation to feel worthy. The final lesson came from Robert himself. During one of our monthly coffee meetings, he said something that surprised me. You know, Riley, I realized my resentment wasn't really about you. It was about my own fear of not being good enough. When you succeeded, it forced me to confront my limitations. Instead of using that as motivation, I blamed you for making me feel inadequate. That insight crystallized everything. The people who truly love you use your success as inspiration, not ammunition for their insecurities. The people who deserve space in your life celebrate your achievements without keeping score. I learned that being unwanted by someone doesn't make you unworthy of love. It makes them unworthy of you. I learned you can't earn genuine affection through perfect behavior or extraordinary achievements. Most importantly, I learned that sometimes the people who should love you most are incapable of it. And that's a reflection of their limitations, not your value. The moment I stopped begging for crumbs of affection from someone who saw me as a burden, I realized I'd been starving myself of the love I actually deserved. Sometimes the most loving thing you can do is refuse to accept less than you deserve, even from family. Because real love doesn't come with conditions, resentment, or scorekeeping. Real love celebrates your existence and supports your success without asking what's in it for them. And if someone can't offer you that kind of love, maybe it's time to stop settling for what they're willing to give and start demanding what you actually deserve. Today, my relationship with my parents is healthier than it's ever been, built on mutual respect rather than obligation. Robert learned to manage his emotions without making them my responsibility. Catherine learned to love me without apologizing for Robert's behavior. We all grew from that terrible night when the truth came out. While I wouldn't wish that experience on anyone, I'm grateful for the clarity it provided. Because now I'm surrounded by people who celebrate my existence rather than resent it. And every day, I'm grateful I had the courage to demand better. You deserve to be surrounded by people who are grateful for your existence, not resentful of it. Choose love that celebrates you, not love that merely tolerates you.